everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Experience Maker Show. I'm Dan Gingiss, the Experience Maker. So excited to have you here today for another fantastic episode. I'm telling you, the hits keep on coming here on this show because I keep bringing on amazing guests that teach us the power of customer experience from so many different angles. And that's one of the things I really like. Sometimes it's different industry or different technology, different platforms, and all in the name of creating a better customer experience. Before we get started, I want to talk to you about one quick thing related to creating a better customer experience, which is that I have a masterclass that is launching at the end of this month that I'd love for you to be a part of. It's the second time we're running it. The first time was amazing. I got such great feedback. People were so excited about it. The way that it works is it's 6 weeks long. Every week you get a pre-recorded video to watch. It's about 40 minutes. You watch it on your own time, and then you come to a live mastermind session with everyone in the class and with me, where we talk about what you learned and we talk about applying it to your specific business. So would love for you to be a part of it. It's at mycxmasterclass.com. Check it out. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about it. All right, with that, I am super excited to introduce to you our guest today. He's a good friend of mine. I've been fortunate enough to be on his podcast as well. He is the chief evangelist of a video company called BombBomb, which we'll talk about. He's also the World Series champion. Yeah, I wish he was, but he's a Wall Street Journal, not World Series. He's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author of this book right here, Human-Centered Communication, which we're also going to talk about. Ethan Beute, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much. Good to be back in conversation with you, and thank you for that nice setup.
My pleasure. And it was great to talk to you on your show when I launched my book, so I'm super excited to return the favor and have you here. Tell us a little bit about Ethan Beute and your work at BombBomb, and then we'll get into the book a little bit.
Sure. I've been at BombBomb for a decade full-time, which is absolutely insane. Most people don't stay anywhere these days for a decade, much less at a software company. But it's just been such a fun evolution as we, our team, our customers, our broader community have advanced this practice of mixing some simple personal video messages in with our emails, with our text messages, with our LinkedIn messages, and all these other ways that we're communicating digitally to be more clear, to build stronger connection, to increase conversion in a variety of different ways, micro conversions and macro conversions. And so I was the first and only marketer for a little while. Steve Passanelli, who's my co-author, both on human-centered communication and on our previous book, Rehumanize Your Business. He and I he's our CMO, built out the team together over the past several years. And then a couple of years ago, I kind of peeled out of direct operations into this evangelist role. And it was something that was really appropriate for where we were. I was a good person for it. And I just really, really love it because I get to spend time doing what I like most, which is learning, teaching, practicing, conversing, guesting and hosting on shows like this, putting together presentations, engaging customers on behalf of our sales team or our customer success team. And I just think this practice, whether you choose BombBomb or another one, because there are a number of competitors now that have come on. Again, we've been pioneering the space, but I think almost everyone can benefit from this opportunity. I mean, everyone, including the thousands of teachers who took us up on our free BombBomb accounts at the onset of the pandemic, as they were forced to they did everything in person. So how do we stay personal now that we're forced to be distant and virtual? And so really anyone can benefit from this. And it's just a joy to be able to share that idea and how to actually do it with people in a variety of formats.
So I want to get more into the use of video in the types of communication that we use it in. And I know that, BombBomb, we can attach it to emails, we can put it into LinkedIn. Every time I talk to you, no matter how many times I write something to you, I always get a video back, which is amazing. I do feel like you have to have some discipline for that, which is great. But what I want to ask you to start with is, it still feels to me, even though you guys have been at this for 10 years, that if I'm just looking at all of the communications that I get from people, that still very few of them contain video. Now, the argument could be made that that's exactly why you should do it, is because you're going to stand out, because not everybody is doing it. But talk about that push and pull a little bit, because the flip side to me is, well, if every communication I get is video and maybe I'm not ready for that, does it then become unspecial? And today it is clearly unique, and that's my point. But I'm just curious about that push and pull.
Yeah, a few things I want to peel apart here. First, video is not appropriate for all of your messages. So if you, Dan, went to your inbox today, or if anyone watching went to their inbox today and they got 32 new emails and 28 of them were videos, people are probably misusing it. It's ideal for three specific things. One is to establish personal connection or reestablish personal connection. Just have people feel like they know you in a better way. And that can happen, by the way, from any seat in an organization, whether it's a hiring manager trying to recruit a new team member, whether it's a salesperson following up with a new online lead, whether it's a salesperson following up with someone that's been referred to them, whether it's a support person responding to an inquiry, whether it's an account manager providing a proactive update before perhaps something like a quarterly business review. Like any of these messages, personal connection, this idea that I know someone, I feel connected to them. They're interested in me, even if we've never met in person. So that's one. The second one is emotion or tone, right? If we need to convey something really positive, like thank you, good job, congratulations, or we need to convey something like an apology or breaking bad news or expressing some concern or even some caution. So that nuance in human expression that comes through when we can talk on video like this, or better yet in person, is missing from so many of the ways we try to like get intellectual, get into our heads, capture our feelings and peck them out in sentences. So much of it is lost. So emotion and tone. And then of course, detail or complexity. If you're explaining something in layperson's terms that's otherwise complex, you're doing a show and tell with a screen recording, like walking through a contract or a proposal or a report, whatever that may be, video is going to be better in those cases. It's not better all the time. So that's one big idea. It's not appropriate for every message. The second one is, and I really appreciate what you shared here. I actually have three reasons I don't think this has moved as fast as my hopes. And despite our best efforts and despite the hundreds of millions of dollars of venture capital that's poured into the space, by the way, we're bootstrapped. We're not sitting on that. But a lot of our competitors are, which means, generally, yeah, they are placing bets, but it's also smartish money. So there's some movement here. It's just slower than I expected. So three main reasons. One of them is around what you're talking about. And it's this idea that it is different, that it does stand out. And so for worse or for worse, what I've seen on LinkedIn over the past couple of years is that at some level, video prospecting is being confused as video messaging. Video messaging is appropriate for everyone in every seat in the organization for internal and external communication when the message fits some of the criteria I just described. The problem is what a lot of people are doing is because it's different and it does get more attention, a lot of people are taking the same crappy scripts, they're taking the same crappy emails, they're turning them into videos, continuing to mass blast them in an undisciplined, untargeted, to people that are not expecting or desiring that communication, and thinking that video is going to magically change the game for them. And to your point, at some level, it is different. So it does get some attention. If you do some creative things, it is actually a great tool for video, for prospecting. But I think a lot of people's first experience with video is unlike yours and mine, Dan, where I'm saying, Dan Gingiss, you're freaking amazing. I love your book. I'd love to host you on the podcast and talk about it, et cetera. And instead, people's first experience is, hey, I'm someone you don't know, reaching out in a selfish way for my benefit. None of what I'm saying to you resonates or connects to you at all. Nothing I'm saying lets you know that I see you and appreciate you and understand you and have something that we might want to talk about. Instead, I'm just taking the same crappy stuff I was setting before and doing it in a video. So that video prospecting piece is one of, I'll stop talking here, but that video prospecting piece and the confusion of video prospecting as video messaging is this kind of bad loop that we need to break so that people's first impression isn't that. So that video, some of our competitors aren't selling so hard on video prospecting so that we don't ruin this opportunity before it actually comes to flower.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting. I mean, there's a couple of things going through my head. First of all, obviously, when BombBomb started, we didn't think that we were going to all be on video all the time, which certainly changes the dynamic a little bit. Secondly, one of the things that I was just writing about something for a client of mine, and we're writing about, had me writing about personalization. And, personalization to me has gotten to be this buzzword that is often misunderstood, because people think that just because we have a mail merge software that allows us to say, "Dear Ethan," now we're personalized. And that's great until it accidentally says "Dear First Name," which we've all received an email like that, right? But also, the fact that we just know your first name doesn't mean that we're personalized. We don't know anything else about you, right? And so this idea, at least in the customer experience space, of literally knowing your customer and knowing different parts about them that you can then use in conversation. Everybody that teaches anything about LinkedIn prospecting says, take the time to go through their profile. Maybe you went to the same school, or you like the same sports team, or you have something else in common. And now there's that personal connection. To me, once you have that, then you add the video. Now there's some magic, because it's personalized and unique. Versus, I think what you're saying, which is what's probably dogging some of it, is once the salespeople get involved, it's kind of like we say, all the social media channels are great until the marketers get involved. Once the salespeople get involved, they're going to ruin it, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, really interesting. Let me pivot to your book, Human-Centered Communication, a business case against digital pollution. So first of all, what is digital pollution?
Sure. By the way, we just released the trailer for a documentary series or a documentary film that shares the same subtitle, but the title of the film is Dear First Name. To your point, it's
Awesome.
Dear First Name, a business case against digital pollution. So it's on YouTube. It's on a landing page on our website. You see it on social media too. So I love that you mentioned Dear First Name, because we just felt like, as we're trying to title it, it just captures so much of what you were talking about. And so digital pollution is, in short, and Steve came up with this definition, unwelcome digital distractions. Now, what does that mean a little bit more broadly? Anything that's confusing, frustrating, annoying, or perhaps even threatening about your digital, virtual, and online experience. And so there's a lightweight taxonomy of it. You have, on one end, in what we call innocent digital pollution. Like, I don't intend any harm. Maybe it was just a typo or an autocorrect, and so you misunderstood me, and it led to this back and forth and some confusion and frustration. It could be winding up in a group text message or a group LinkedIn message when, in fact, I don't need 84 replies from other people, because you're just soliciting one response from each of us. So that's innocent. On the far other end is what we call intentional digital pollution. And this is the worst stuff. This is malware, phishing attacks, cyber attacks. Our mutual friend, Ann Handley, I just saw on Instagram that she had to post that someone was ripping off all of her photos, created a fake Ann Handley profile. It was lacking the verification mark, but I'm not verified. So if someone did that to me, and I've seen it from multiple other people, like, I don't know what the motivation is there, but it's clearly intentional that we're creating this polluted environment that confuses and frustrates and annoys people and perhaps even threatens them. And then in the big fat middle is where most of this conversation is to be had, and most of the thought and reflection and review and feedback needs to be considered, which is, what pollution are we creating for the people that we're trying to build our businesses with and for, in the way that we're going about presenting digital messages and digital experiences. And that's to say, I was kind of talking when I was saying crappy scripts and crappy emails, like, that's digital pollution. I don't know who you are. I don't know why you think this is about me. I see that you took, like, I don't know about you, Dan. I haven't looked at your LinkedIn profile recently, but I put up myself as an author of this book. I put myself as a co-host of B2B Growth, a podcast produced by my friends at Sweetfish Media for a couple of years. They allowed me to co-host some episodes on that show. So I'm getting prospecting stuff that's saying, I can see the work that you're doing at Human-Centered Communication is amazing. Human-Centered Communication might benefit from, right? And so it's obviously scraping and plugging, and it's just pollution. It slows me down. I don't know why you're reaching out to me. We have no established relationship. You obviously haven't gone to any of the trouble to see me at all and to think at all what's in it for me. And so we have to accept, I'll just share one big truth here as a little piece of math. Like, when we're creating digital pollution, we might be on the other side of that, high-fiving each other for moving our conversion rate from 2.7% to, or I'll just make the math easy, from 3% to 3.3%. We're amazing. It's a 10% lift. We're an amazing sales and marketing team. We got conversion up to 3.3%, 10% lift in just, 2 iterations, and we're amazing. And it's good. That's a nice improvement. But the conversation we never seem to have is, what about the 96.7% of people, or the 96.7% failure rate on the other side of that exact same piece of math? What about that? Well, the vast majority are just swipe, delete, ignore, whatever. But there's some chunk that are unsubscribe or abuse complaint. There are some people that will, and I know we've both seen this post online, screenshot. If they're really polite, they'll blur out your face and your name and your company name and anonymize it a little bit and say, like, look at this junk that this person, like, I took the connection request and look what they just sent me. This is like nonsense. So it's like this public shaming. And so I don't think we take into account the negative effects or the counter effects of the way that we're going about the work that we do. And the caution here is that we're not just training humans who are pattern making machines, that we are not valuing their time and attention. Therefore, we're not worth their time and attention again in the future, so they can ignore, delete, block, and essentially become unreachable. With a tool like Superhuman, you can block not just an email address, but an entire domain. So if some sales rep is too aggressive with me, I can say, no one from your company can reach me again. Like, that's an interesting thing. And no one's thinking about it or talking about it. And so we're just high-fiving over the 3.3%. So the other piece is, machines are obviously tracking human behavior and cultivating our digital experiences because they know that the amount of noise and pollution in the environment is to the point where we can hardly monitor ourselves. That's why our social feeds are absolutely curated based on what we like and what we comment on. What does the algorithm think is going to be worth our time and attention, so that we will behave against it? And so that experience is coming to more and more of our message areas and our feeds and our inboxes, et cetera. So we have to know, as people who are creating communication in order to create business, drive business, serve people, be of value and service, that the less disciplined we are, the more likely we are to create a polluted environment for the people that we want to build our businesses with and for. And the easier it is for them to ignore, delete, and block us, and the more likely it is that the machines are going to continue to push and push and push us down the priority list, so we may never be seen again by the people we want to reach the most.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I used to address this when I was in corporate America, and I won't tell you which company. But one of the debates we were always having was with pop-up ads on our website, and the marketers were saying, well, we got to keep them because they work. And I was saying the exact same thing you said, which is, well, they work in the sense that 4% of people click on them, but how many people are annoyed by them? Are you annoyed when you go to a website and you see a pop-up? Yes. Well, then why would we do that to our customers? Why would we create a pop-up ad that we know is going to be annoying just because a very small percentage of people click through it and it makes us some money? So I think that's such a great way to look at things. And, it gets back to this idea of the individual transaction versus the lifetime value. And the lifetime value starts before someone ever becomes a customer, right? Because we're building this relationship, which of course is priceless. And just as easy as it's even easier to ruin the relationship than it is to build it. So I really like your frame of reference of, hey, we gotta, before we high five the fact that we increased from 3 to 3.3%, we gotta think about all of the people that we potentially disrupted, disappointed, aggravated, annoyed, and how do they think about us? And
by the way, we're not perfect. There's some confessions in the book. We just want to raise this conversation. Like, you should high five over it. You should be wondering about the 96%. You're never going to get 100% open rate. You're never going to get 100% click rate. You're never going to get 100% conversion rate. That's perfection. And we certainly are not shooting for that. But, you soft reference the golden rule, which is present in every single major world religion and philosophical system. Anyone who sought to define why are we here and how are we supposed to live arrived at some version of treat others as you would be treated. And then, of course, you also mentioned the platinum rule, which, with a CRM, and certainly if you're not going like with a mass product or a mass service offering, the more you can know about individual people. With platinum rule is just the modification, treat others as they prefer to be treated. And so you already mentioned a couple ways we could do that in a prospecting position, but as we get to know people over time, we should continue to refine as professionals the way that we're serving them in an increasingly customized way. And therefore we have access to that person's time and attention whenever we need or want it, because we value them and we continue to serve them in a way that serves them best.
Yeah, and I'd add to that too many companies, I think, believe that they can't have a personal relationship with their customers because there's too many of them. Now, I worked at McDonald's, and I would argue there's too many of them, right? Billions and billions served. It's going to be very difficult, except on a transactional basis, to have a real personalized relationship. Now, maybe you can use technology to create personalization, but I would ask many of the people out there, especially B2B companies, how many customers could you possibly have? Hundreds, thousands? Probably not more than thousands, right? So is it really impossible for you to have a relationship with all of them? I don't think so. I think once you get to billions, okay, I think that's a fairer a pushback. But it is.
But that's like, but you already mentioned it. Like that's the people in tech blend where I know because I know your credit card number or I know your loyalty number, I can immediately present a service rep or anyone customer facing with context on this account, so we can at least go part way. And I would also challenge people that have, 2,800 customers. Perhaps you can't have personal relationships with all of them, but could you with a quarter of them? And what difference would that make for you and your team and for those customers? And perhaps some of those customers don't want that from you. They don't view you and your product or service that way. You're not as important to them in their business, let's say, as you are to this segment of people. And I offer that as someone who is taken the time to do that in the decade that I've spent here at BombBomb. Is I have personal relationships with hundreds of our customers where if I greeted them in person, we would hug each other like friends. Some of them I have met before. Many of them I have not. We've swapped video messages, which significantly closes kind of the emotional and relational gap. But if there are 10 more people like me, now we're at thousands of people that we have personal relationships inside our company with, like our customer. I don't know, we have like 75,000 customers or something. So that you can take steps in that direction. And certainly to the lifetime value thing, the people that you're most valuable to are the people that you want to be in closest relationship with, so that you can understand them better, so that they feel closer to you, so that they feed you ideas, and so that you can bring more like people, because it's all about lifetime value.
Exactly. So one of the things I noticed about your book, Human-Centered Communication, is you have a whole bunch of case studies with a whole bunch of people that are from totally different industries, businesses, et cetera. Tell me about that and kind of how you decided to frame the book that way.
Yeah. So Steve and I started with this premise that we're going to be doing, even set pandemic aside, you won't read pandemic or COVID on any pages of the book, but Steve brought this idea to me. Whereas I initiated Rehumanize Your Business. He came to me and was like, okay, I know what our second book is. And it's around this idea that in the future, we're doing more digital, virtual, and online sales and service, period, as a fact, no matter what. Pandemic just accelerated that. But these environments are noisy and polluted. Let's create a framework or a methodology to help people. In specific to BombBomb, it was, we see so many people come to video and do what I mentioned off the top, which is take the same non-disciplined, non-focused, non-value-oriented communication, put it in a video and expect magic to happen. And so then they get frustrated and confused about why video didn't do magic. It's because it's not about the video. It's about you, your intent, your message, your targeting, and all the other things we all know. So we decided, let's not rely exclusively on ourselves and our own experience, although I think we could have done that in a convincing and helpful fashion. Let's just rope in some of our expert friends. And like you said, a variety of different roles and industries, pretty heavy on sales, but we also have our mutual friend, Shep Hyken, who is the godfather of customer service and customer experience. And I love his chapter. So chapters 3 through 13 are each based on Steve's and my research and personalized interviews with all of these people. And then of course, a little bit of back and forth to refine them. So you'll get their perspectives on pollution, on ways to be more human-centered, not just in video emails or video messages, but on video calls and in all of our other digital, and in a lot of cases, even in-person messaging, outreach, presentation, et cetera. And so we thought more voices, more faces, more perspectives would be more helpful. And the fun thing about it is, from my side, it was fun to try to sequence the chapters. Like, I think you're a little bit younger than me, Dan, but you still might appreciate the mixtape reference. Trying to sequence it like a mixtape where each stands on its own, but they also work together in sequence and kind of a flow. So that was fun to do on my side. And then now that it's been live for a couple of months and out in the market, getting the feedback that like, oh, I just so attached to this person and this person. These were my two favorites. So that's kind of a fun aspect of it as well. So you'll get a variety of sets of strategies and tactics from different people who view customers and customer experience from unique seats.
Yeah, I like it. I thought it made for a very interesting book because they did come from different perspectives. And while you're talking about it generally the same topic, the applications are different, the experiences are different. So I thought it was a really cool way to share multiple stories. We're running out of time, but I do have a question from friend and fan of the show, Jesse B. Good. He says, with a tool like BombBomb, what kind of a difference do you see in a general hello video versus a customized hello Ethan video?
Really good question. So the difference between hello and hello Ethan depends on whether or not they play your video. So we could get into subject line or other context. We could get into the opening line and how it promises or teases specific value in the video to get them to play. We can talk about how to use BombBomb produces a little animated preview of the first 3 seconds of your video. So if I send Dan Gingiss a video, speaking of Jesse here, I don't mean to talk around you, Dan, and I start the video like this, do you think Dan's going to click play? Yes, absolutely. Or, people are using things like whiteboards or other kind of things in the animated preview or the screenshot of the video to reinforce the opening line, and also lets them know, because it represents the video, that this is for you and about you. And it could be based on any of the elements you offered earlier, Dan, about ways to personalize messages. The interesting thing is, I've heard this origin story from a number of our customers, including some that have been with us for years now, as they said, the first time I played that video you sent me and you said, hey, Michael, or hey, Andy, I immediately knew that I felt different and that I wanted my customers to feel the same way. Yeah. Because then I go on, and it's not about, hey, Andy, it's about, hey, Andy, and me answering your question or speaking specifically about your opportunity or congratulating you or thanking you or cautioning you or following up. I did like your LinkedIn post and I commented on it, but I wanted to add some context and let you know I really appreciate it and found it provocative. And so it's not just about the first name. There are ways to drive the play so that they know that it's personal before they ever click play. But when they click play, it better be more than just the first name, because otherwise we're back in the dear first name zone.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The first name is probably what gets them to open it, or the picture of you with the book or the whiteboard or something. I almost, when I get something like that, the whiteboard says, hi, Dan, I almost feel guilty not opening it because I know somebody has spent some time to create a video for me.
Well, you won't be surprised that people are faking that now.
I'm not surprised at all.
Which is another sad thing that I'm cautioning people about.
It's disappointing. All right. So, Ethan, we got to go, but I know the website is bombbomb.com. You're at Ethan Beute on most platforms, I believe.
We're BombBomb on every platform. I am Ethan Beute, Beute, on all of the platforms, and I'd be happy to hear from any of you. I know we only took one question, but I'm obviously deeply passionate about this, spent a decade doing it, and I would love to help anyone that has thoughts or questions or anything. So hit me up online, or you can even email me, ethan@bombbomb.com.
And I can say from experience that Ethan is one of the most giving people out there in the world. And what he just said right there, he means it. So definitely reach out to him, and he will answer your questions, help you along. And I appreciate you, Ethan. Loved the book, Human-Centered Communication. Please, got to get this in the right spot. There we go. Please go out and buy Human-Centered Communication on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy books. It's there. It's a Wall Street Journal bestseller. Ethan, great to have you on, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it, and I enjoyed it.
My pleasure. And great to have you here as well. I really appreciate it. Next week's guest is going to be David Richter. David is the founder of Simple CFO Solutions and the author of Profit First for Real Estate Investing. I picked David in part because real estate is one of those industries we haven't covered yet in 90 some odd episodes here on the show. So I love covering different spaces. I don't know a ton about it, but that is going to be great because I get to learn as well, as I hope that you guys do every week as well. So David Richter will join us next week. We're here every Thursday, noon Eastern. Please join us. I'm going to put up one more thing. That's the CX Masterclass. Again, mycxmasterclass.com. If you're interested, please go to the site, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk with you. It starts at the end of the month, and I would love to have you be a part of it. I promise it will be of huge value to you. Also happy to put you in contact with the folks that went through it the first time and absolutely loved it. I am Dan Gingiss. I am the Experience Maker, also helping you become the Experience Maker at your brand. We'll see you next week on the Experience Maker Show.